Minnesota Gophers beat Louisville in their game yesterday. They got Michigan State up next in the second round. Let's listen to Richard Pitino in Des Moines.
Now we're pleased to welcome Coach Richard Pitino, whose Golden Gophers are in the NCAA tournament second time in 3 years, hoping to make it to the Sweet 16 for the fourth time in program history. Coach, congratulations on the win last night. Go ahead and preview tomorrow's game.
Well, thank you. Obviously, excited for our program and our players to be able to advance in this tournament. I mean, being here 2 years ago was great, and as a program, you're always trying to move forward. So to be able to improve on getting to the tournament and advancing is huge. I love the way that we played. I mean, obviously we won, but I thought we played very, very well in every phase yesterday versus Louisville. So our guys battled, and now we got to be ready, obviously, because Michigan State, terrific team who's playing as good as any team in the country. They've got Cassius Winston, who's probably one of the best point guards in the country, and a lot of really good pieces around them. And obviously, Coach Izzo does a terrific job, so it's going to be a tough test for us, but we're excited about the opportunity.
Questions for the coach, please raise your hand. We have a microphone holder your way. We're going to go in the back row, right side, then we're going to come up to the front.
Coach, what have you seen differently from Michigan State in the paint with Tillman obviously replacing Ward as far as their main go-to guy inside?
Well, Ward's still a factor. They've got a lot of depth. I mean, unfortunately, they've dealt with some injuries, but they're still going to be who Michigan State is. The bigs are going to run the court. They're going to duck you in early. They're going to pound the glass. They're relentless. They're physically relentless. And that's been the consistent theme with that team every single year that we've played them. So there's not a whole lot of a drop-off.
Front row, right side.
Obviously, this is a unique situation, having Michigan State in the second round. Is it actually a benefit for you, though, just having the short turnaround time and being able to prep for the game because you know their team so well already?
I'd rather play somebody else and not know them. I guess from a prep standpoint, maybe it's a little bit easier because we know each other, but just because we know who they are, obviously we know they're very, very good. So I'm not sure it's an advantage necessarily, but from a short prep time, these guys know what Michigan State's all about. We got a lot of respect for how they do things. So it's important to get rest. I mean, when you play, a physical game like we played yesterday, it's important to get some rest. But then watch some film and put together that game plan on the court as well as in the film room.
Going to go left side aisle, then we'll come over to the right side aisle.
Richard, what's the biggest difference in your team between what it is now and the one we saw in East Lansing in February?
Well, the team you saw, that was not a very good team at the time. I mean, we just offensively were really, really struggling. Allowed them to get out on the break. Cassius was very, very good. McQuaid was very good. Nick Ward really hurt us down low. We had dealt with, I think, Curry kind of going down right before that with some calf issues. And then playing at Michigan State's very, very hard. But I think we've got some confidence going right now. Beat Purdue twice, I think in 10 days. They're a terrific team. Went in and beat a surging Penn State team in the conference tournament, obviously then Purdue, and then beat a terrific Louisville team yesterday. So probably a confidence factor, just feeling those wins, tasting them. Offensively played well last night. Defensively did a lot of good things. So more than anything, I think these guys, the difference between playing in the middle of the Big Ten versus in the NCAA tournament, probably mentally, these guys are a little bit more locked in, a little bit more, feeling great about where they are, but also understanding the challenges that lie ahead.
Richard, this is going to be your 24th game against a Big Ten opponent, same with Michigan State. I'm just curious, with the 20-game schedule and then the way the brackets fell out, do you think it was fair or just? I know you guys can only do what the committee gives you, but should the Big Ten have been matched up this early and also with the chance to have a 25th game if Maryland gets through for one of you guys?
It's very similar to the Louisville game. You're not going to hear me complain. I'm very, very excited to be in this tournament. I don't care who we play. You're never going to hear me complain about that. So we're going to play who's in front of us. Michigan State's a terrific team. In order to go to a Sweet 16, you're never going to play easy games. So we take what we get. We're excited to be in this tournament and obviously excited about an opportunity to go play for a Sweet 16.
Question on the left side.
Richard, Kenny Goins has been a player for Michigan State who's been a pretty pivotal role player all year. He's struggled from three as of late, but how do you game plan against a guy who's been in so many different roles throughout the years?
Well, testament to him that he's gotten so much better. He works his butt off. Obviously, his story is great. Can shoot the ball. I mean, last night he didn't shoot it well, but he's a much better shooter than that. The things that they put you in from a ball screen perspective, they're going to run some pick and pops. They're going to run some ball screens with the 5-man, dive him, lift the 4-man up. So you've got to be ready to guard him. And then, a three-point shot, that's part of their offense because they're going to go offensive rebound it. So for him, he's very versatile. He's very tough, and he has the ability to stretch the defense, so it's a tough matchup for us.
Stay on the left side on the aisle in the red.
Given the extended run in the Big Ten tournament, this is looking at the 5th game in a really short period of time. How comfortable are you energy-wise with where your guys are at, and what have you done to kind of keep them fresh with this bit of a unique situation?
Yeah, I mean, obviously with, Motts, who's going through that concussion protocol, with Jordan Murphy, who had back spasms yesterday, with a lot of guys playing major minutes. Amir Coffey didn't come out. Gabe Kalsher played a lot. Dupree played a lot. Rest is important. As a coach, you got to make sure that whatever you do with your team benefits the team, not necessarily you as a coach, because coaches sometimes like to make themselves feel better on the practice court where it may not always be beneficial for them. So, with one day off, you got to get rest. It's very, very important to keep them off their feet and make sure they're getting rehab and doing all those things, but also just making sure they understand what the game plan is.
Left side, we got 3 standing up over there.
Richard, watching your team since you played Michigan State earlier in the season, you guys have really evolved and changed. You're not the same team that you played. I'm curious, how has Michigan State evolved, or do you see them pretty much, have they stayed the course?
They're always pretty good. They've been pretty consistent since I've coached against them, that they've got the certain pillars of the way that they want to play. They don't deviate from a whole lot. Cassius is just so rock solid with everything that he does. Nick Ward on and off with some injuries, but those younger guys are getting better. Henry's kind of an X factor for them on the glass. They've been good for a long time. Coach Izzo is one of the best coaches out there for a reason, and that program's a terrific program. So they're playing really good basketball. They beat Michigan 3 times. Michigan's a really, really good team.
Right side on the aisle, then we're going across to the left side.
Yeah, Richard, Eric Olson with the Associated Press. Coach Izzo yesterday found some spotlight for his heated interaction with Aaron Henry. I wanted to ask you, what's your take just on how that unfolded from just probably watching the video of it? And also, could you comment on what your reaction to basically the national reaction has been? There's been some negative and positive, but there's been a lot of it regardless. So what's kind of your take on that?
Well, I can tell you this. I'm not surprised that there's outrage. There's outrage with everything that goes on, with everything that any of us do, so that's not a surprise. As for Coach Izzo, I've coached against him now for 6 years, and I've never seen a group of players that play harder, respect, and love more than Coach Izzo. He's going to be hard on them, but whenever you watch them play, every single player runs off the court. When he talks to them, they arm around him, right? So he's tough on him. He should be tough on him. That's why he's in the Hall of Fame. But I'll tell you this, and I didn't see too much of all that, but I know his players love playing for him. And I was at Michigan State when they had the national championship team with Magic Johnson and all those guys that came back, and I don't know if they had a lot of people that missed that. And that's a testament to how much they love Coach Izzo. So those players are lucky to play for him. Every time I coach against him, I become a better coach. I learn something from him. So I've got 1,000% the most respect for him as any other coach I've ever faced.
Question on the left side, then we get Pat and come back to the left.
Jeff Greer from The Athletic. Richard, just from being in the locker room now and on Wednesday, it seems like your team has a pretty good camaraderie off the court. In your opinion, how does that translate to on the court, and do you put much stock into the whole team chemistry thing?
Well, it's important from a chemistry standpoint to have, off the court, a respect level for each other as human beings and as obviously teammates. but you've got to develop. It's important, but you got to develop that on the court too. That's just as important as being friends, hanging out together. There's got to be a chemistry on the court in the heat of the battle. When adversity hits, being able to talk to each other, being able to push each other, being able to, maybe address something on the court the right way, talking to each other. And you're probably going to be better at that if you like each other and if you respect each other. So winning helps that. Having good kids like we do also helps that as well.
Question on the right, and then we'll come to the left.
Yeah, Richard, certainly Izzo is not going to let Gabe take open looks. What is the counter to how you expect Michigan State to defend him?
Well, Louisville's got a terrific defense, and offensively, I thought we just executed very well, and we rebounded the ball well. But it all starts with us, with our defense. If we can defend, we can rebound. It allows us to get out on the break, and that's been kind of the ingredient for us all year. When we've been good, we've been able to defend. So it's all about execution. We're all going to know everything that we're doing this time of year. It's just a matter of how hard do you cut, how hard do you screen, how well do you move the ball and share it.
Question on the left aisle.
Richard, the last 7 games are arguably the best stretch of Amir's career. Looking at it big picture, how have you seen him develop over the last 3 seasons on and off the court to get to where he is now?
Well, it's just been a normal, natural progression. Everybody's in a rush to skip steps. For Amir, he was an all-freshman player in the Big Ten, played the most minutes in the league for any player, for a team that was a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. He was a major part of that. Last year going into the year, he was playing well, and then unfortunate season-ending surgery. So he's healthy, and he's reliable. And when he's attacking the right way, he's tough to keep in front and tough when he's getting to the basket. And he's played a lot of games 40 minutes. That's hard to do. So he's a fierce competitor.
Left aisle, then we'll go in the back and come up front.
Coach, you spoke a lot about Gabe's professionalism and work ethic. How have you felt like you've tried to use that as an example for other guys, and has it just kind of inherently rubbed off on them?
Oh, there's no better peer pressure than seeing somebody like Gabe, when you break for practice and you can either go to the locker room, you can go to the training room, you could shoot half-court shots, you can mess around with your teammates, or what is Gabe Kalsher, he'll go right to the corner and he will do a shooting routine. It doesn't matter. He did it today. It doesn't matter where we are, when we're playing, what game we played the night before. That does not affect him. And when he shoots free throws, and he does his free throw shooting routine, every free throw he shoots, he points up to the sky for whatever reason. He does that when he's practicing. So he is methodical in his approach, and that absolutely. And then you see him do what he does last night. I would hope that would motivate our guys. It'd motivate me.
Back row on the aisle.
Obviously, we know yesterday Jordan's going to play regardless, but how's he doing health-wise? And then Motts, and obviously if Motts doesn't play, what did you like from some of the guys off the bench that you got? Yeah,
Motts is in going through that concussion protocol, so it's day by day there. We don't really know. And then Jordan, I think, has improved. He was struggling. He was kind of laboring through that second half. So we got a lot of treatment for him. We didn't really go full go today in practice by any means, but we held him out. But I would anticipate, after knowing Jordan the way that I've known him now for 4 years, I'd be very surprised if he doesn't play.
Front row, we have 6 minutes left in this session.
When you first started recruiting Gabe Kalsher, what were a few things that stood out about him?
The ability to hit shots. He played on a really good AAU team, and he would have some games where he'd hit 5, 6 threes. I did see that kind of that business-like approach, which I really liked. And it was just, he's a good person, cares about being a good person, cares about winning. And those are guys that, the more I'm in the Big Ten, you win with guys like that. Guys that are smart players, take this thing seriously, not afraid of contact, not afraid to guard the best player. And, it's kind of amazing because he didn't have a lot of high major offers. But he was a guy that we identified with. We didn't really care about rankings or anything like that, and we wanted him. And he's been a really good player, had a really good freshman year.
Left side aisle.
Coach, you often talk about how even-keeled this team is. You've used the phrase that they don't have a pulse. But you also say that guys like...
Did I say that?
I think so. And you've also mentioned that guys like Amir, they're fiercely competitive. So do you think that even-keeled approach is sort of in itself a form of competitiveness, and how do you see that competitiveness play itself out?
Well, I think it's a strength. I do think that when you're in the Big Ten and you're playing 20 league games and you're in, like we talked about, all the outrage in today's world, you can't get too high, you can't get too low. You really can't, because it's going to happen. There's no running from that part of it in our profession today, especially with social media. So you need to be able to, if you lose 2 or 3 in a row in the Big Ten, you just got to move on. You got to learn from every single game that you play in. And guys have had nights where they haven't hit shots, and they've stayed the course. You have to do that. It's a long, long season. And we're playing our best basketball now, and I think a lot of that has to do with kind of the mentality of the team. I mean, they really don't get too high. They really don't get too low.
Left side standing up.
Just, I guess, sort of a simple question. Just how do you see your bigs, whether it's Daniel and Jordan or whoever else off the bench, going up, matching up against Tillman, Ward, and Goins?
Well, it's not easy. I mean, they're big, they're strong, they're physical. You try to game plan for it, but when you don't have that on your roster, it's hard, to see. So obviously playing against them, opens our eyes a little bit. But there's not a lot of front courts with that size and that physicality and are as relentless as they are. So we're going to have to do a great job on those guys. That's extremely important when you're playing Michigan State.
I have time for 2 more questions. Right side aisle.
Coach, winning an NCAA tournament game obviously hasn't happened too much in the last 20 years. What does that do, you think, for the program moving forward? And obviously having kids on the team from Minnesota, having big moments like a Gabe and Daniel and Amir.
Yeah, when you're building a program, winning facilities, all that stuff is great. But at the end of the day, winning is what sells your program more than anything. And from a recruiting standpoint, when you see a guy like Gabe Kalsher and Daniel Oturo and Amir and Jarvis and Michael, those are 5 kids playing in an NCAA tournament game and helping us win in advance. That sells more than anything else. Their families are in the stands and, they're excited about it. And you see an arena that's filled with Gopher fans. That's what playing college basketball is all about. And you're seeing these players that are getting better and getting that exposure. That's a dream come true. I mean, to hear, Gabe Kalsher, I get chills, and I'm not just saying it, but to hear Kevin Harlan, calling that's special even for me. So winning helps. Winning helps build a program, and you need to be able to capitalize off of that success and continue to get good recruiting classes.
One final question, if there are any. Left side aisle.
I know that you worked to kind of prepare for Michigan State right away, but did you do anything to kind of commemorate the win, or do you have any well wishes that you'd like to speak of?
I went to dinner. Is that something? I went to dinner with my wife and my brother. No, other than that, just move on. It's a great win. It's a great win. But in this tournament, it's like anything else. I told our team, you got to the tournament, which is a goal. Are you just happy to be here, or would you like to make some noise? Obviously they showed the ability to do that versus a really good Louisville team. Now you're 1 game away from a Sweet 16. You got to beat a really, really good Michigan State team. So, no, I didn't do anything besides get a bite to eat and then watch film, and try to find a way to help our guys beat a really good Michigan State team.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you.
Best of luck tomorrow.
Thanks.